Steelers and the Buffalo Bills. Great game here, Kyle, as we take a look. Who is going to come to play today for the Pittsburgh Steelers? There's a guy that wants a lot of money at defensive end that hasn't secured the bag, as we like to say, just yet in TJ Watt. When we look at the other side of the football here, Josh Allen primed for maybe an MVP season. This is a Bills team, Kyle, that went 13-3 last year. The Pittsburgh Steelers looked like they were going to go for perfection when we all knew better, and they came to a crashing halt late in the season and got bounced out in the playoffs quickly by the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to set the tone on this football game, Kyle. I'm not believing in Ben Roethlisberger. I'm sorry. Just because you say you're coming into camp at the best shape of your life, your offensive line is not better this year. It's worse. Yes, you changed it up because you wanted to make some, switches on the line to try to get younger. That doesn't always equate to being better. I like the running back you drafted. I like your young wide receivers, but this comes down to Ben Roethlisberger. There is going to be a packed house in Buffalo ready to rock and roll from the jump in this football game. I think Buffalo can overwhelm them. I like the Buffalo Bills to win this game by a touchdown over the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, this one's tough. So I'm with you. I took the Bills. I like that it's under a touchdown. There's a lot of hype around the Buffalo Bills and a lot of anti-hype around the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I will say this in terms of teams on this card this week who are getting points, the Steelers are one of the better teams. So, I don't think you're insane for taking the Steelers here, but I do think Buffalo wins by more than a touchdown. I have a lot of interest in that under 48. I've seen some 48.5. These are two good defenses. Pittsburgh, yeah, their offensive line stinks. We don't know what we're going to get out of Roethlisberger. What will we get out of the rookie running back? Can these wide receivers stop dropping the football? I'm talking to you, Deontay Johnson. But when you look at that Pittsburgh secondary, it's a little bit different this year. No more Mike Hilton. They shipped him off to Cincinnati. It's Justin Lane, Cameron Sutton, and of course Joe Hayden on the other side. Joe Hayden's a good defensive back, but he's not a guy who's going to shut down Stephon Diggs. We know what Buffalo's going to do. They have no semblance of a running game. They did nothing to address it. They're continuing with the two-headed mini monster of Devin Singletary and Zach Moss, which is just a who's who of bad running backs. Just can't stand either one of them.
Come on.
They're both terrible. They're both absolutely dreadful. Trust me. As a guy who's had him on his fantasy team, especially Devin Singletary, my God, I'd rather have 40-year-old Frank Gore or James Conner, I think, than freaking Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. But that's neither here nor there, and I apologize, Buffalo Bills fans. I know you guys are very, very
passionate.
But I do expect the Bills to win here by a touchdown. I like the advantages in the secondary here. It's going to be tough for that Pittsburgh offense to move the ball. Outside of red zone rushing defense last year, this Buffalo Bills defense was very, very good. They still have a terrific secondary. White, Wallace, and Johnson are going to make things very, very difficult on those young receivers outside of Smith-Schuster. I guess he's still young. I don't know. For the Steelers, expect the Bills to win here. And I have a really, really strong lean to that under 40. I could see both defenses performing well here. This game sort of has like a 27-17 type feel to it where Buffalo pulls it out. I don't think a ton of points are scored here. Two solid defenses, but I do like the Bills by a touchdown.
I like where you're going on that because I'm very high on the Bills. So obviously, if I think the Bills are going to be a good football team, they should be able to put away the Pittsburgh Steelers. But when you're trying to take a look at, what the Steelers are going to do well, I think I like the offensive line better on the Buffalo side. Both of these teams are going to be able to put pressure on the quarterback. One quarterback can move. That's Josh Allen. One can't move more than 3 feet. That's Big Ben. I don't care if he lost 30 pounds. I want to see that arm strength out here because everything around Big Ben should work outside of that offensive line. As I said, good young wide receiving core. Harris in the backfield. He should be a bolster because last year you had a couple turtles, it felt like, in the running back position that gave you no separation. Every time you handed the football off, nobody cared because you can easily make that play. Maybe that changes up with Harris in the backfield, but just looking from another perspective, Kyle, that something we didn't see last year in Buffalo. They were letting in 3,000 people a game. This place is going to be packed and rolling. As I said, now that we have home crowd advantages back into play, that is going to differentiate some of these opinions that I have. Because if you're working on a sterile environment where nobody's there, sure, hey, Big Ben can line up, make all his checks he wants on his new offensive line to make sure they have the signals down with their new offensive coordinator. But if you can't hear, that might cause some chaos here. And I keep getting back to the point. I expect Josh Allen to continue in his maturation process here, Kyle, when I think Big Ben is on the last of it here, taking pay cuts to come back in. One last ride with Big Ben. I like the weapons. I like the defenses on both sides. And I see some people in the chat box think it possibly could go over. I'm leaning with you, Kyle. I'm leaning more of an under in this situation. They are two sensational defenses. And the one thing that we can usually factor on, if you played football at any level, early in the season, typically, when you don't get a lot of reps, the defense, Kyle, usually ahead of the offense.
Exactly. And that's typically what happens week one, right? These defenses have been just, hitting each other. They're not allowed to touch the quarterback. They're not allowed to touch the wide receivers. They're foaming at the mouth, ready to hit somebody. And then you look at these offenses who, if they played, a handful of snaps in the preseason. They haven't been getting touched. They haven't been getting hit. So it hasn't really been real simulation football for them. It's going to take some time for them to get the wheels going, and you get two really good defenses. So for me, maybe you see some points later in the second half when some of that rust is off. But for me, I'll be surprised if this is a high-scoring game that goes over 50 points.
Yep, it'll be a fun one. One of the games I'm circling at 1 o'clock. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Two big-name franchises going head-to-head week one. Sensational stuff. Let's keep the chains moving here.